Earthquake is a natural disaster that affects our building. Buildings do fail during earthquake because of various reasons. It may be design fault, it may be construction fault, or maybe that we have not understood the way that it is to be understood. The first thing that we can learn is by experiencing the failures of earthquake and understanding the concepts that really make a structure better. For example, in the year 2001, January 26, there was an earthquake in Bhuj. The Bhuj airport failed, and there was no plane that can be operated because the whole control system and everything has failed. And we also lost lives, and we got people affected, and we are looking for doctors to treat. So we can bring doctors from various places, but we need an hospital. The only hospital that was available in Bhuj also failed. So at that point of time, it was decided to have a structure which never fails. So is it a possible? Yes. There are various possible solutions that are available technically to solve the issue of earthquake. And the one that you see here is the building that is now existing. It's a 300-bed hospital which is now functional. So this is done using a concept of base isolation. That means if earthquake is a kind of motion that is transmitted from the ground to the structure, and if you are able to arrest in between by an isolator, that is the best way of solving the problem. In this structure, we have basement in which sub columns are there. Above the column, we put base isolator, and then the whole building is supported on that. The ground floor consists of grid slab, and the grid joints are connected to this column. So there is an in between one element which is called isolator. So this actually arrests the vibration. So the earth shakes, essentially the earth shakes, and the column is likely to shake. But because there is an isolator on the top, the transmission of vibration from the bottom to the top is arrested. This is the concept of base isolation, and this is the first building in India that we had at that point of time. So this gives the picture where this isolator is kept. Actually, this is the top of the column, and this is the bottom of the grid slab system. And this is the hospital that exists today with 300 bed. And finally, we are able to get the first structure in India, which is base isolated, and it is very safe for earthquake at any given point of time. So essentially, there are a lot of concepts that really helps us to come out of earthquake, like the one that I explained here in this case. So let us understand the real scenario of this area. For example, in 1956 July 21, in the same area we had an earthquake in a place called Anjar, which is very near to the Bhuj. At that point of time, you can see the picture in which Jawaharlal Nehru is walking, and then great ministers are walking. You can see them. So this has a national attention at any point of time because it's an issue is national, maybe international as well. So in order to understand this as a basic, let us start understanding the basic law of physics. The Newton's second law says, if there is a structure or a body which is vibrating and generating an acceleration of a, and if that structure has a mass of m, m into a is the force. This is what Newton's second law says. So essentially, coming to understand the structure, if there is a structure that is there, the earthquake is likely to generate a force which is called inertial force, which is going to act laterally compared to all other forces being vertical. It is going to disturb the position of structure by displacing the structure at various points. So this is the basic concept of and how do I understand earthquake and how the forces are transmitted to the structure. So we have IS 1893 which explains how to compute this force F. And we need to understand another few concepts. For example, what is period and what is frequency? This is also taken from physics only. Suppose something is vibrating. For example, if the pendulum is vibrating, the pendulum has something called period, which is also called a natural period. That period is nothing but the time needed to complete one full cycle of motion. So this is what is called period. The frequency is nothing but 1 by t, that is the number of cycles of vibration per second. So they are actually complementary. One by t equal to 1 by f, or f equal to 1 by t, as the case may be. So this is the basic thing. Why do we understand this? Basically, if I have a structure like what you are seeing here, the Type A 101 tower, 101 story building, which is in Taiwan, it is actually an inverted pendulum. When there is a disturbance in the earth due to earthquake, the building is going to vibrate like an inverted pendulum. So once I define this as a pendulum, there is possibly a period for the structure. Let me say that period of the structure is about 10 seconds. Clear? So if I have to arrest the vibration due to earthquake, especially in the first mode, which is normally the maximum contribution, essentially I have to design for the force. That is one concept. The other concept is, suppose I introduce a vibration neutralizer, which is again exactly create a pendulum which is exactly having the same natural period as that of the building. For example, if the building is having a natural period of 10 seconds, I design a pendulum which is again having the same natural period of 10 seconds. And this can be at the top of the building, maybe between 92 floor to 89 floor, like that. This is what it is designed for this structure. So this is kept at the center. So if there were to be a disturbance, either due to earthquake or due to heavy wind, the building will vibrate in the first natural mode, which is nothing but 10 seconds. But since we have a pendulum at that point, which is also 10 seconds, obviously there is a counteracting system. So this is also called auxiliary mass vibration neutralization system. Actually, this is there in physics. It is also called AMVN system. So this is the concept, certain concepts that are there in physics. If you bring to construct, if you bring that to our construction of buildings and design of buildings, we can save the building from earthquake or heavy wind or any other disaster that can ever happen, which is purely dynamic. So this is one concept that we need to understand as a basic concept of how do we understand this. This is the closest picture of that pendulum. As you can see, a mass here, and it is hung from the 92nd floor to 89th floor. And we are keeping this. Let us not go into deep into it, except to understand that this concept is called tuned mass damper. That is, we create a mass, we tune that mass damper system such a way that the natural period of this pendulum is exactly equal to the natural period of the whole building, which is about 101 story building. This is the second concept I am just trying to tell you, wherein we are able to save the building from earthquake at any point of time using certain simple concepts that are available in physics or in science.